I was going to talk about neuroscience. So, this is an example of science and why Dawkins says why is a stupid question, what other people say.
Yeah.
So like neuroscience or whatever, brain science can tell you like where memories are stored.
Yeah.
And where you feel certain things and like connections to the brain, but it can't like it can't really reproduce like internal subjective consciousness. Like it can't explain my subjective experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and it can't explain some of the connections that we feel, I guess, or some of the experiences that we have when listening to music, like the feelings that we get from it, which one of my favorite artists talks about that, how science can explain that music is just sound waves reverberating and going through the air and going into your ear, but it can't. We don't really know why it makes us feel the way that we do and how we can have such strong reactions to it.
So do you think that one of those perspectives is more real than the other one?
It's hard to say. Not really. I don't think so.
Why not?
Well, I wouldn't say that they really conflict with each other necessarily. Because as far as neuroscience and science in general, it only explains one area of reality in our existence. It's just what we can observe directly and test. Yeah.
So would you be okay with then saying that subjective experience is just as real as scientific understanding of different phenomena?
Well, to a point. I mean, everything is just things running through our brain and triggering, firing synapses and stuff like that anyway. So who's to say that what we see is the reality anyway? Because,
I mean, what science?
Yeah.
What science tells us, you mean?
Well, I mean, I can't really say that because, I think science is good at explaining what we're seeing and stuff, but just, I don't know if our understanding of it or viewing is completely reliable.
Our interpretation?
Yeah, our interpretations, that's what I was looking for.
Okay, so you'd say that science works, but it's possible we could be misinterpreting.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. So that being said, do you think scientific, our experiences and the meaning that we attach to things and our own subjective experience and lives and emotions, do you think that's real?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it's just synapses firing, but
yeah.
That's like a scientific perspective.
Yeah.
What about the subjective perspective of meaning, right? Because we attach meaning to things that isn't necessarily scientific.
Yeah.
So is that real, or is it just...
Well, I think it becomes real when we put that meaning on it, because just the fact that you put meaning on it kind of gives it meaning.
What if it doesn't give it meaning to me?
Well, is that really your place to infringe on my reality, I guess. I mean, who's to say yours is better than mine? As far as scientifically, like if it's something like, oh, the Earth is flat, it's like it's something that you can disprove. That's very easily disprovable, but I think there's a greater purpose to life that's a little more difficult. Or I think this is the purpose to life. I mean, it kind of gives it that purpose, for you at least, because I mean, just by you thinking it is that purpose and going through, and if you follow it, then for you, it does have that. I mean, it is real for you. It might not be real for someone else necessarily, because they have a different experience, or they're not on the same wavelength as you or whatever. But wavelength's not right, but
so we're going to say this. You're saying that subjective reality, even though it's just subjective, is still real. Or at least real to the subject.
To the subject, yes. And I'm not sure if there is, I mean, there might be some that are kind of out there, and maybe, well, that can just be that I'm not understanding it the same way that they do, but I mean, some of them would seem more reasonable to some people, but I guess, once again, I can't say that someone who has an idea or purpose that I think is unreasonable is wrong, because I just don't see it the same way as they do.
You want to eat?